In this video, I want to show you everything that you need to know about learning the wide receiver position, okay? It's going to be a complete guide to playing the wide receiver position. We're going to show you stance, we're going to show you hands, we're going to show you eyes, we're going to show you blocking, stemming and stacking, everything that you need to possibly know. In the description below, I left a full unedited version that you can sign up through CoachTube. It's completely free. But it's, if those who do want to see the entire clinic can see it there. This is a condensed version just for viewing purposes on YouTube, but it's going to show you everything you need to know, a complete guide to playing the wide receiver position. Now let's check it out. All right, so first, stance. So you hear all the time, 80-20 lean, 70-30 lean, okay? What does that mean? So, a kid can't weigh himself and say, hey, I'm about 70, I'm about 80. So what I use as a coaching cue is with their front knee, they're leaned forward enough, they can barely see the top lace of their shoe. Okay, that's why I like for the 80-20 lean. That's how I know I'm 80%. Okay, so if I'm here and I'm leaning forward just like this, I want my knee to just barely graze that top lace. Okay, that's how you have an even weight distribution going towards your front toe. Okay, because essentially what I want, and you'll see in the next couple clips here, I want this forward shin angle as I'm firing off the football. All right. If you're flat, vertical, or your hips are back, you're going to have to load up. You essentially do two things. You're going to have to load up to get forward to run through, or you got to pick your foot up, replace it to get to that forward shin angle, okay? So let's say my hips are back and I'm doing this, okay? In order to run forward, I got to load up the hips to run forward, or set go, pick up this foot, put it down, and then run through, okay? So that's why this forward shin angle is important with that lean, okay? So the way I found that is if you lean forward enough, again, see the top lace, bang, you can just be off without having to load the hips up. All right? And a good way I taught this works about 90% of the time, okay? If you get guys they like to do the hands crossed, which we'll talk about in a minute, or they like to keep their chest up, what I'll do is I'll tell a player, hey, come here, we're gonna race 10 yards, all right? And you can't let them think. Hey, come here, quick, here we go, we're gonna race 10 yards. And what they'll do, they'll get on the line like this, right? Set, go, we'll run. I won't run because I'm old and I'm not going to just sprint, right? But they'll get on the line like this and sprint. You just watch them run. And they'll be like, Coach, why didn't you run, right? My point is, why are you loaded up like this to race me, but you get to a wide receiver position and you're like this? You know what I mean? So we're thinking explosiveness all the time when we get our feet set. I want to be loaded up, and I'm trying to stress that defensive back as fast as possible and as quick as possible, okay? And that's our mindset. All right, so I thought this is a great clip here. This is Sean Edwards here, but if you see, he's loaded up, right? He's got a little bit of tilt in that front knee, which is fine, but you'll see there's no energy leakage or anything else coming through when this ball is snapped. He's off. Bang. Okay, and I'll show you a clip in a minute where guys are picking up their foot and not rolling off that toe. But I thought this is a great example of just firing off, getting that knee forward. Okay, a little bit of knee forward here. Chest is over the knee too as well. And we're firing off. Okay, this is my young buck here. This is he's a freshman. Okay, the kid's gonna be a stud too. His name's Mason Jakes. I'd like a little bit more lean in his front knee. You see we're a little bit too vertical there. I'd like a little bit more lean, but you see coming off the football, he's out. Okay, and like I said, as you can see, him being a little bit too tall, you have that little dip right there. You know what I mean? To try to get to that forward shin angle right there that we're talking about. So if he's already loaded up like that, and guys, I know it's little. I know some of you guys might be saying like, we're just trying to get off as fast as possible, right? Same for the high school. It's like, I'm trying to think, I want to stress this guy as fast as possible. So I'm trying to clean up everything from the start. Okay, so that's why I'm stressing that front leg and that stance. All right, so I thought this is a great clip. This is from our spring season. So here's Ty Warren. He was one of our guys here. This is Brady Fiola. So we're in a trip set right now. And I thought this was great because Ty just ripped off a 40-yard run, so he's a little bit gassed. So he's a little bit lazy in his stance, which is no excuse. But you can see the difference between him standing up a little bit taller. He's going to load. Fiola is back on his hips, as you can see. He's going to pick up and replace. And then this is Andrew Cochran here in the slot. He's perfect. He's rolling off that toe. So first we'll look at Ty here on the bottom of the screen. Okay, you can see that sudden dip right there to get that shin angle there. Again, I want him just over that toe so he can run. You see Brady here, how his hips are back and he's on his back foot. See how he picks up that front foot and puts it down? Right there. It's small, it's subtle, right? But the reason I care about that, and there's a study out there, I don't know if you guys have seen it, they're like, it's actually faster to pick up your front foot and put it down. The reason I don't mess with that is because I can't tell a kid, hey, when you start, do that.
You know what I mean? I want you rolling off that toe when you're firing out, okay? So that's what we're trying to do here is with that front toe, I'm trying to roll off it and explode through, okay? So I don't want you to pick up your foot and put it down. Here, looking at Andrew Cochran, okay? Again, smooth, fluid out of his stance. Bang, rolling off that toe, getting where it needs to be. All right, back leg now. Did you guys see that video when viral was with Deion Sanders talking about the stance? I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but I thought he described it perfectly where you want that back leg. And that back leg matters, right? If it's too far back, as we talked about before, it brings your hips back, okay? So in order to make any moves at the line of scrimmage, you have to essentially fall step with your back leg, all right? So you don't want necessarily your hips back. You want it right up under you, okay? If it's too close, you're not able to generate any power, and your first step is typically going to be that. All right, so especially when you're coaching high school kids, younger kids, right? A rule of thumb I always say is I want that back leg under your butt cheek, okay, as you're getting set. Now the thing is too, everyone's built different, okay? I showed you earlier with Chris Darmacan, he's 6'2", and I got some of my young pups that are 5'6", 5'7". So they may be a little bit back, a little bit forward. It's all based on your body type. But for a general rule of thumb, if that back foot is under your butt cheek, you should be good, okay? This is a big one here. I see this a lot, especially with the younger guys who come in and, they're so focused on getting off the football. What they'll do with their front toe is they'll turn it to the inside, all right? So if they're turned to the inside, pigeon toe it, however you want to, I know when I was in high school, it was coached like that. Hey, you want to turn that front toe to get grip in the ground so you could run. No, what you're going to end up doing, because you need to drive forward with your hips, is you're going to end up straightening out that toe and then driving off, okay? Again, small detail, but it matters. We want to keep that toe facing forward to where we're going. That way we can explode off it and through. All right, hands. This is probably my biggest pet peeve in football is the hands. And I want them up or I want them down. I do not want them crossed, okay? And, this is probably the best example. Why? Coach, can I use you for a second? So, and this is the demonstration I always do with my guys, right? The guys like to cross, right, and get stance. Two reasons for that. One, usually when you have your hands crossed like this, your shoulders are up and your chest is back, putting your weight 50-50. Okay, we say we want 80-20, right? Even still, if I'm like this, I still have to uncross them to make a move. Again, small subtlety, but a big difference, right? So if you get a kid who's, hey, coach, I want to cross my hands, say, all right, stand up, right? So let's say we're going to fight, right? So your hands are up like this, right? And I say, no, you don't fight like that. You fight like this because your hands are crossed, okay? And then all of them will laugh and be like, all right, I'm an idiot. I can't cross my hands anymore. You can sit down, thank you. You know what I mean? But you get a kid up and say, all right, no, I want you to fight like this. They're going to go, I don't fight like that. I fight, hands up like this. It's the same concept. We're trying to combat someone who's in our face. Why are we taking that extra step to do this? Same thing. If you're going to fight someone, why would you be like this to uncross your hands and throw a punch, right? So I found that to be the biggest, light bulb that goes off in the head, like, okay. Coach Scarnecchia said last night, which I thought was great, make sure you paint mental pictures in kids' heads. I thought that boxing example really hits home where, okay, that's what he means by having the hands up or even down. I don't mind them down because I can still swipe from here and from my hip. Okay, up, same thing. I let my guys do both. I don't think it necessarily matters a huge difference up or down, but if you got to cross them, it's just one extra step you got to take. Okay? All right, so I think this is a big one. It saves time. If you guys ever been guilty of this, I know we have a few times where a wide receiver will break the huddle, he'll go and get set, okay? And when he's set, he'll then look at the referee, right, and say, am I good? And the referee's looking at the line of scrimmage, or he'll be like, hey, move up, move back, move up. And then the ball snaps and he throws a flag on you, right? So the biggest way to combat this is as you're breaking the line of scrimmage, hey, ref, I'm on. Let him know before you get set. Okay, it's a small nuance that I think makes a huge difference because here's a clip here. So here's Calvin Posterpeck breaking the huddle. Before he actually gets set, hey, ref, I'm on. And then his eyes are, hey, what's up, coach? His eyes are sweeping, right? So he's getting he's getting lined up. He's checking coverages, middle of the field close, and then eyes to the football, okay? So if we go back to our checklist here, he's getting set, leverage of the corner, identify coverage, and then I want my eyes on the football, all right? Again, we run RPOs. We're doing everything where they have to check middle open, middle close. Some of you youth guys, maybe if your offense isn't that complex, it's just getting them set and then getting eyes to the football, okay? All right, breaks. So this is probably going to be it's the biggest thing I've learned over the last 2 years, okay, is breaks. And I've only seen one coach talk about this, in the coaching sphere. If you guys are on social media, whatever it is, I've only seen one coach talk about this. It's Coach Keith Williams from Baltimore Ravens. Coach Dub is at Wideouts. I don't know if you guys follow him or not, but he's the only one I've actually seen talk about this. Talking about getting in and out of breaks, right? So usually when you get in and out of your break, what are you told to do? Beat the drum. You hear it all the time, right? You want to run the hands, beat the drum. His philosophy, and which I agree with, is why are we moving our arms as fast as we possibly can when we're trying to decelerate? When I do this, what's my brain told? Move faster, right? So I'm trying to slow down, but I'm telling my arms to move faster. My brain's going, well, I don't know what to do, right? Do I stop? Right? So what we want to do is when you run and break, I want to get my hands and my fingertips on the outsides of my knees, okay? So when I'm running, I'm deadening my arms down like this, in this position right here. What that's going to do is going to bring your chest down to your knees, okay, naturally. And I found this to be the biggest one, because what happens is when guys run their arms, their chest comes up because their arms are in the way. You know what I mean? They're not going to get low like this and start beating their chest, okay? So when they're running, I want to be down like this, chest in this position. And the biggest key, like I said, is if I can get those fingertips on the outside of my knees, that will bring everything down with you, okay? And I found that to be the biggest coaching point when teaching my younger guys as well, like on how to do it. It's this position right here, all right? One drill I'll do is I'll line up 4 cones 3 yards apart, and they're going nice and easy here, and they're down like this, 1, 2, okay? Reset, same thing, and then that last cone will be about 5 yards away. I want them attacking that cone full speed and dropping through, and then we're breaking at a 90 cut, okay? And that's the biggest thing right there, is just being able to get in that posture, in that position. You do it enough times, they're gonna do it in the game. One thing you do get with the dead arms, though, is you need to run the arms out of the break. And I think that's the biggest argument a lot of coaches will say is, hey, if I'm in this position, you know, I need to run my arms to get out of the break. And I agree with that, okay? That way there's no energy leak coming out. So once you get here and we get set, I got to then run the arms to get fast out of that cut. Next, this is extremely technical, but I want my guys to be out of their break in 3 steps. Do not tell your young kids this, okay? Because they're going to try to do whatever they can to get out in 3 steps, and their body isn't used to moving that quick, okay? I had a guy that, you know, one of my former receivers, big, tall kid, 6'2", he didn't know how to control his body, so he's trying to break and get out in 3 steps, and his hips are back, he's slipping, he's falling, right? Do not tell your kids to be out in 3 steps. For you, you need to know it, right? But tell them just to get down in this position right here, and it will naturally take care of itself, and they'll be out in 3 steps, okay? All right, so here's my young pup again, left side here. See that position right, that's perfect right there. That's where I want you. I want your chest over your toes as you're coming out of that break, okay? So if you can take any mental picture from this presentation away, it's that, right? Be able to bring your chest down and everything down as you get out of your break, okay? Another thing too, I don't have it on the slide here, but you know, I want to make note of it. I want to be out in 3 steps, and we actually label these steps, and I think it's good to tell your kids. I stole this from Coach Leibs, who runs Sideline Hustle on Instagram, Twitter. He calls it a trigger step. And I love that term because, you know, when you pull the trigger, it's time to stop, right? So when you're running, okay, that very first step that you take is going to be a trigger step, okay? Then we use the gather step and then our break step, okay? So that's the 3 steps that we use. So as we're running, okay, we're triggering down 1, 2, and then 3. We're trying to break off that foot to go each way, all right? This 4th step determines your angle, and this is something I really started to put a lot of emphasis on. If you get guys who are rounding breaks, okay, so let's say you're trying to run a 90-degree square in cut and your guy's looping it for whatever reason. The way you fix that, get a slow motion camera if you can. There's a huddle technique out there. I highly recommend it. That way you can break down all this stuff because it's very hard to see with the naked eye. As you're running, right, 1, 2, and they go to break off that 3rd step, this 4th step here, wherever it is going to determine the break of your route. So if this kid is lazy with this foot right here and keeps it upfield, his hips and everything are going to take him upfield, okay? If he's able to be sharp with that in cut, okay, you know, 1, 2, 3, and this is 90 degrees this way, everything, his hips, everything are going to pull him this way. Okay, again, you can't see that though with the naked eye. You got to be able to slow down that picture and then show your kids like, hey, 1, 2, 3, I really want to be hard with that inside foot to be able to pull you down the field. All right, so blocking in, this is something that, you know, I know coaches in the back here is going to love this too. So this is something that, you know, we try to build into our culture to be violent in the finish. Okay, if your stock blocking is passive, it's going to be passive in the game. And then you're going to scream at your kids because they're doing just this and the corner's getting by them and the safety's getting by them, okay? You got to really build into your culture that, hey, we want to be violent at the point of attack and then we want to finish to the whistle, This has got to be one of my favorite plays, probably coaches back there's favorite plays too. All right, so this is, I showed you guys in spring, okay? This is Chris Darmacant. He played at Stonehill, all rookie team, first team all conference. This just shows you what kind of kid he was at Bellingham and, senior-led leadership, best player on the field. He's getting double-teamed in this entire game, all right? It's 3rd and 37 right now. How did we get to 3rd and 37? Our other wide receiver decided to turn around before he got to the end zone. Ref threw a 15-yard penalty on him. Then we got a holding call. Then we got a loss 3 yards. So it's 3rd and 37 is really 3rd and goal, 3rd and 7, okay? And the reason I build that story up is because he could just take this play off. We're running a screen, all right? We're trying to get as much as we can back. He could take the play off and go, I'm good. He doesn't though, right? And I want you to focus your attention on him at the bottom. Okay, puts him on his back, right? He's not done. He gets up and then puts him on his back again. You know what I mean? And I'll show you from the end zone view too. He's over here. 3rd and 37, goal to go. I'm not getting the football, but how can I help my team, right? And he buries him again. All right. No, he didn't like that. No, I'm sure he was sick. I'm sure he was sick of getting double teamed all game too, But like that's what I'm talking about, building it in your culture, because I think Brendan Marion said this. You show how much your wide receivers care about each other, especially the other skill positions. You show how much they love each other based on how they block. If you're half-assed, you don't really care about the guy that's carrying the football behind you. But Chris loved his teammates, and he just always played 110%. And this is just putting the kid on his back. He could have finished right there. I'm good. Now let's get up again and trash him again. Here's Ty Warren. Oh, this is a 2-point conversion, guys. He's not getting the football. We're running power here. So he gets the line of scrimmage. He knows we're running power. Again, 2-point conversion, wide receiver. I'm taking this thing off, right? No. His mindset, I'm going to run this kid back to the cheerleaders that are back here. Right? And finish. And that's our big thing, right? And if you look at our slot receiver here, Andrew Cochran, same thing. Coming off the football hard, doesn't finish him or doesn't give him enough, but gives him a good pop, right? And is still wrestling with him before that play crosses the goal line. And that's got to be the emphasis, right? I love this clip of Ty here, because this corner thinks, it's a 2-point conversion, I'm taking the play off. And Ty's like, no, I've been trained not to take this play off, and coach is going to kill me if I do. So finish. This is the last little bit I have here. And I thought this was, again, I haven't really seen this taught in a lot of places, and you don't realize it until you get hit with a 15-yard penalty. But does anyone know what airplane blocks are? No? Okay. Coach, I might use you again. So let's say there's an interception, right? And the guy's running this way, and I'm trailing backside here, right? And coach is trying to chase the ball back. You see it all the time, right? This guy lines up this guy from 20 yards away, and what's he doing? I'm looking for that kill shot, right? So we call airplane blocking is essentially, I coined the phrase, we want to go in airplane mode, right? We essentially want to just turn our bodies off, right? So essentially what I'm doing is I'm trying to take this outside part of my hand and aim for that outside part of the pec. Yep. And as he's running, I'm just doing this. Just get in the way, get your hips into him. There's not a big collision. The refs see this, like I'm not doing anything, I'm just getting in his way. Oh, you all said, yeah, thank you. But essentially it's a box out, okay? And we call it airplane blocking, and this is how we practice it, okay? We start light with it, where it's just, hey, just get the angle, okay? And this kid does a pretty good rep here of just getting his angle, his hips too, and get wide with it. Because you don't realize it until you throw a pick, if you get a pick, or your guy busts a long run and your wide receiver's coming back, or your QB reverses field. Any crackback situation, you want them to automatically go into airplane mode where, hey, I'm just going to extend my arms out and I'm just going to get my hips into it. And it's a safe bet. The kids know it. Because if you don't teach this, the alternative is I'm going to go light this guy up and the crowd's going to go crazy. Here come the flags in. And it turns a huge play away. So what is stemming and why do we stack, okay? So essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to gain leverage on the route, all right? So if we're talking from an outside receiver, all right, and 90% of the time, corners will play inside leverage on us, right? So what we need to do is neutralize that leverage. This is typically what we're gonna get, right? 90% of the time, a lot of people will play inside leverage on you, whether it be man coverage, cover 3, or any type of inside leverage. So what we wanna do when we stem up is we wanna neutralize this leverage, because if we just run a slant from here, 1, 2, 3, he can undercut this thing, right? And go get it. So now what I want to do is, I always tell my guys in the first 3 steps, I want to win the route, or win the leverage back, I should say. So when I'm here, inside foot up, set, go, 1, 2, 3. Now I've squared him up. He doesn't know where I'm going, okay? And this is where I can break him right down the middle. It works for in-breaking routes, out-breaking routes if you need to, and vertical routes, okay? We run a ton of vertical routes at Bellingham. We like to stretch the field vertically. We have a lot of guys that can run. Let's just give them the football, okay? But the biggest thing I tell them, especially from the stemming standpoint, is within the first 3 steps, get to where you got to be here, all right? And again, it might seem a little funky, okay? That first step being upfield, here, and then 3. What you don't want, this will happen when you first start teaching this stuff to guys, is they'll just be lazy with the stem and think that this is good enough, okay? You want them in the first 3 steps because then you own him. Rarely will you have a corner weave the leverage. What he's going to do is just backpedal straight back because that's all he's been taught to do, okay? So within the first 3 steps, we want to win this thing. And then even if he is backpedaling, I own this leverage here. All right, next we're going to talk about stacking. So I think, again, this is an under-taught technique, and I think it can cost you a little bit if you know, especially on the deep throws. So once we've broken the stem, let me come here a little bit. So once we've broken the stem and we're trying to step on his toes to get by him, okay, let's say outside's here, I got by him, he turns to me. So now I want to stack back on top, meaning I want to get here. So put him in a trail position truly behind me, okay? Now this matters for a few things. First one being the quarterback can miss wherever he wants, all right? Let's say I don't stack. He turns to my hip. This quarterback needs to throw the ball where? High up over his arm into the bucket over here, which is a very hard throw. Now if I get here and I'm stacked back on top, now he can miss here, or he can miss inside because this guy's in the trail position on me, okay? So one of the drills I like to do, you know, come up here, is put them in that position where they're here and then set go, I'm dipping and trying to get stacked back up, okay? And then we'll do it again. But reps on reps on reps, because I want them to get to the stem, chop the hand if they need to, and then automatically work back to the stack, all right? And again, talking about the quarterback, right? Make his life a hell of a lot easier. Stop making him throw balls in the corner into the bucket that are as hard as hell to throw, okay? Let him miss wide, miss deep, or even in the inside. You own this defensive back once you get on top of him this way. So this is, again, an advanced tactic. It's very hard to do. I had one guy who could do it in the 6 years, but I at least wanted to show you guys here. When you get into a stacked technique, okay, and he's trailing you, and that ball is underthrown, what you can do is slow your body up, okay, and then use your right elbow to give that to create separation, all right? Again, very, very hard to do, especially if you have a guy who can track the ball really well, and then get in that stacked position, okay, because he's naturally going to lean up against you because he can't see the ball, or he's staring at the ball and not looking at you, so you can use his leverage, actually a slingshot against you to make that catch, all right? Again, very, very hard to do. I've had one guy who can do it.
Now, as we stated before, this is just a shortened version. If you do want to see the full-length version with some bonus questions added on at the end about how I practice catching the football, what are some off-season drills you can do, and a few other questions that people in the crowd ask, you can go watch the unedited version, which is found in the description below. If you have any questions about this video or anything in the video, feel free to tweet at me at Chris Victory. I'm happy to answer any questions that you possibly have. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.